From the blind eternities to your favorite local game store, welcome to Planeswalker Radio, your ultimate source for all things Magic the Gathering. Whether you're slinging spells at Friday Night Magic, brewing the perfect deck, or just diving into the lore of the multiverse, we've got you covered. Join us as we explore the latest set releases, wild deck techs, and the stories behind the cards we love. So grab your deck, shuffle up, and get ready to ignite your spark, because this is Planeswalker Radio. Here at Planeswalker Radio, we love turning cardboard sideways and slinging spells, and it's important to us that the place we choose to do that is fun, relaxed, and professional. That's why we choose to buy our cards and accessories at First Player. Their showroom staff in Calgary, Alberta are some of the best in the business with decades of experience. They're always able to help us and members of the community find exactly the correct cards to add to our latest decks. Don't live in Calgary, Alberta? Not to worry, they ship Canada-wide. Check out their website at firstplayer.ca for Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Lorcana, and the accessories to protect your cards. First Player, the heart of the gaming community in the heart of Calgary, Alberta. Find their website linked in the description below. Don't go anywhere, the show is about to begin.
What's up, Nerd Home? Welcome back to another episode of Planeswalker Radio. It's been a minute since we've been on the air with you guys, but we're excited to bring you Final Fantasy today.
It's a big set. Eagerly awaited. I've been dying for this set. I've been dying to do a review on this set. It's been
Yeah, I mean, you grew up with these games, you played them. A lot of people in the community have as well. So
and it's really great because like my experience with Final Fantasy is different from other people's because I like the series is such an expansive series.
it's
They have
huge.
so much to pull from.
Yeah,
There's some people like myself who I liked kind of the mid-range games from like 10, 12, that kind of area. Whereas like I talk with the owner of the LGS that we go to, and he's all about the earlier games.
the
I talk to
originals. Yeah,
exactly. There's community members who love like 14. They're like it's the best MMO on the face of the planet. Like it's so expansive. It kind of really takes people from all different parts of the entire Sega and puts them together into
yeah,
to one space.
yeah. It's a wide-reaching.
Hmm.
For a person who has not played Final Fantasy, it's a very beautiful set.
Yeah.
Just some incredible artwork came out in this set. Really cool creature cards. Power creep turned into power dash like Usain Bolt. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, really. I've really taken to the saying that was come up with. Maybe I came up with it actually. It feels kind of weird to toot my own horn. Might have been
Toot it.
somebody else though. The we saw this. We were like, oh yeah, this isn't power creep. This is power yeet.
Yep. Yep.
Wizards.
You did come up with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that was
was me.
you.
Okay, yeah. Wizards literally just picks it up. They're like, huh, this is power creep, and
Yeah.
just
Just tossed it.
slingshot it right out the
It's
gate.
kind of unnecessary, but I mean, honestly, if you have decks that you've built previous to Final Fantasy coming out, take a look at some of these cards. We're going to talk about some key ones in this episode. We're going over kind of our top. I don't know how many
I
we
think
got
I
in
think I
here.
picked out like 25
Yeah,
here. It was
25 out of like 300 and something
a
cards.
lot of
A
cards.
lot of
Yeah.
cards.
It,
So it was really hard to do.
yeah, yeah, and with all of them being like there were very few cards where I was like, on it. Just I kept my first draft of this. I picked out like 90% of the set, and I was like, this doesn't work.
Yeah,
I can't do
yeah.
this.
We can't give you a nice bite-sized episode of every single card in the set. We would
Yeah,
like to, but it's not possible. We would
yeah,
just be saying names.
yeah. That being said, as well, I did a lot of research onto what other people were doing as well,
Mm,
and there's a few cards that we'll go over, right? And I know when we were going over this together, you're like, oh yeah, I saw that. Um, but like nobody's list is the same.
no.
That's how good
Yeah.
the set is. Is everybody has a different opinion on what's best in this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So this is kind of our opinion on it.
it's going to be a wild ride, but with that, we'll jump right in. Starting right off the hop here with just some of the new themes and mechanics that have come out with the Final Fantasy decks.
Mhm.
We got three basic new themes,
Yeah.
really, that have come out with this set.
Mhm.
One of those is Job Select. So Job Select is when an equipment with a job enters, you create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token, then attach the equipment to the newly created token. So, really fun instant equip mechanic so that you can get a benefit out of your equipment right as it hits the table.
Mhm.
And then, if you want to move that equipment to something else, Now you have a chump blocker, or however you want to use it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a play on the living weapon thing, which did essentially the same thing.
Mm,
I think they made germs instead that attached to it or something like that,
right.
right? But I do enjoy the idea the equipment comes in and is the focal point of it instead of it being the creature the equipment is on.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of equipment came out with this set. There are
Yeah,
a lot of equipment cards. We didn't touch on a ton of them. There's a few, I believe, in our set review here.
yeah, I think so.
We didn't touch on a ton, but there's a lot of new equipment that has
Yeah,
come out that has really kind of changed that landscape. Lots of new options for your Voltron Commander decks. Lots of new options for an artifact deck that requires different artifacts on the field. Lots of different things that can be done here, but really cool to see them where they can just come in and swing automatically based off of the equipment.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
yeah,
The next one, the next mechanic they put in is tiered spells. Now we've seen stuff like this before, where you have like modal spells, or you have multi kicker, or like things like that. This is just another variation of it. So, tiered spells will have it's basically a modal spell with three different options on it. Each mode includes a different cost to
right,
it. That is a additional cost. So you might have a spell that costs two, and then a mode that costs zero, a mode that costs two, a mode that costs four, something like that. To cast a spell that is tiered, you choose one of its modes, so not multiple, and the associated additional cost. No matter what mode you choose, though, the spell's mana value remains the same,
right. Okay.
right? So paying the kicker cost essentially for the mode doesn't change CMC or anything like that, or anything that asks to check mana value or anything like
Okay.
that.
That's handy for things, where you're casting a free spell under 2 mana, and then you can now pay that extra to make it do more. So
Yeah,
handy mechanic for sure. The last thing that we really saw come out with Final Fantasy was saga creatures. I love sagas. I love creatures. Putting them together, never really saw that coming.
the,
Just cool.
they hit it out of the park with this. When they were doing like the spoilers and releasing, and they showed Shiva, which was the first one they showed, holy crap! I was like, this is like it's perfect. And like to give a bit of an explanation on why it's perfect in the games. All the games have some form of summon, right? They call them
Fair
different
enough.
things as well, right? Like some of them they're espers or aeons or like there's a whole bunch of different ones, but they're all essentially the same thing,
Okay.
right? And the idea is it's a temporary thing that you bring into the game. It's a lot more powerful than your regular party members, and then it disappears after.
Oh,
Which
very cool. Yeah.
it's with the way sagas work, it's just perfect.
So not only is it thematically cool in terms of how it ties in with Final Fantasy as a father figure or a IP that we're pulling off of for this set. They're also just really cool cards.
Mhm.
A lot of these saga creatures have some incredible abilities, great power and toughness.
Yeah,
They're just good. They're just good cards,
yeah.
honestly, across the board. And then with Final Fantasy and the way a lot of the cards work with token manipulation, being able to keep them on long term is cool too.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's so much that we can do with it. It was a really great move by Wizards.
Yeah,
The the kind of underlying idea of a saga creature is, I mean, it's a saga and a creature put together. It can do everything that a creature can. Some of them, or most of them, actually have keywords, right?
yeah.
You know,
There's
flying, trample,
flying,
haste, that
trample.
kind of
Yeah,
thing,
100%.
right? But then they also get the benefits of the saga where you have lore counters going on, and of course, as you said, you can manipulate them so you could be moving lore counters on and off and
Yeah,
all around
back
and
and
all that.
forward.
There's some cards that do that better than most, right? And then once you complete it, the summon essentially
Yeah,
its timers run up and it goes to
yeah.
your graveyard, right?
Very cool cards.
Yeah,
Very cool
really
cards.
really great. Um, so that's kind of the new mechanics that we have going on. In this set, they also were very clear that they had kind of chase cards. They had a headliner, and then they
Yeah.
had other ones where like, hey, these are going to be slightly bigger cards.
Really speaking to the collector side of Magic with this set more
Yeah,
than I've seen in previous sets.
yeah,
There's always been cards from previous sets that have been like your serialized cards,
yeah,
as an example, that have been, you want this card, it's going to have value. But this set, they I mean, that's what they did.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it
Really.
was really a collector set,
Yeah.
almost more than it was a Magic set. It was a collector card set,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but still absolutely very playable.
Which I think is really brilliant how they did this, right? The last time we saw this in a set this successful was Lord of the Rings,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
They had the chase card as the One Ring,
Yep.
right? They had the literally one of one card that they did, but then also they had other copies of the One Ring where super rare, super collectible, they're
Yeah.
serialized, all that kind of stuff. They did the same thing with this one. On this one, it was the serialized golden traveling chocobo,
Yeah.
um,
Beautiful card.
which is just I will never have one, but I want one so
Yeah.
badly,
Yeah.
right? I'll settle for kind of the chase cards that were under that
I
head
just
roper,
give you every
right?
chocobo.
Right?
Every chocobo I see, I'm giving them to you.
Yeah. It's unknown to the community, but I love chocobos
Love
like
them.
just so much. Like my favorite whiskey glass has a chocobo on it. Like that's how much I love them. I abandoned class for chocobos. Um,
Yeah, I mean, so there are lots of different printings of the traveling chocobo as well.
yeah.
Obviously, there's the headliner, but even the neon black ink traveling chocobo is a beautiful looking card.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's
I think there's 6 or 8 of them, right? So there's like the golden one, but there's like a pink one and a green
yeah,
one. Like,
and just cool that they came out with different colors, different like
yeah,
it's almost different artworks, but it's the same artwork, just
yeah, yeah.
colored differently. I think it's a really cool idea.
I
Really cool idea.
I agree. I agree. It's fantastic and gives us something like I think everybody loves chocos. Maybe not as much as I do, right? But everybody loves them. They're one of a few things that carries from game to game. Just about every game has chocobos of some sort,
Fair enough.
right?
Gotta
Um,
love a chocobo.
Yeah, like the only other thing that really transfers game to game, I think, are like Moogles and Sid. There might be a couple others, but that's about it.
They did some Moogle cards too.
They did, yeah.
Yeah,
There's some cool. I don't think
yeah.
we're talking about any, but there are some cool Moogle
Fair
cards
enough.
in there.
Some other really good chase cards that were in the set. You got Kefka Court Mage. Um, you've got Terra Magical Adept, Sephiroth Fabled Soldier, which is just a nuts commander by himself.
Yeah,
Lots of cool cards. Lots of really cool arts and
yeah.
printings for those cards.
The cool thing about those ones specifically is who did the art,
Mm.
right? So the for those cards we listed, they did this for other ones, but this was kind of the coolest one that I could find. Is a guy named Yoshitaka Amano. He did the original art in the games.
Oh,
He's the art designer for
wow, that's cool.
like
Yeah,
they went back and were like, this is the guy who did it. They gave it to him. He produced some fantastic art, right? So the alternate art that's designed by him are also kind of
yeah.
chase cards in the set.
Some history of the game tied in with the set. You
Yeah,
know, that is one thing they did very well with this set. We didn't really touch on it too much. They went to Square Enix for everything.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They had to go to Square Enix for approval on every piece of artwork that came out with this set. That's a dedication to craft. That's a dedication to your
Yeah.
fans.
I,
They did great with this set.
and the result is astounding,
Yeah,
right? The artwork is amazing in it. They really nailed it with a lot of the cards on the way they should look. There's some where some people are like, they kind of missed, right? But for the most part, I look at a lot of the cards, at least that I'm familiar with the characters, and I'm like, this is exactly it.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
exactly it, right?
yeah. Final Fantasy Through the Ages is kind of another cool part of that. You know, we talk about how they went to Square Enix for all the artwork.
Hmm.
Final Fantasy Through the Ages is basically 64 cards that are just reprints
Yeah,
with some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen.
yeah. It's incredible. They did a really great job. They took like the one that kind of stood out to me the most. And again, I would love to have a copy of this, but chances that I'll ever be able to get one are pretty low. Is the Ristic Study one? They did "Stay
Yeah,
with Me"
stay with me.
as the
Yeah.
the really famous romance scene from Final Fantasy X in there. Like as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be such an expensive card. I want one, but it's gonna be such an expensive card,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, we're not going to cover all 64 of these
No,
cards. We don't have time.
yeah,
But if you even if you just look it up while you're listening to the podcast here
yeah,
and just look through some of these cards, just some genuinely beautiful artwork on these cards. They're staple cards. They're classic cards that have been around for a long time. So I mean, on addition to the fact that beautiful cards, they're also to a degree, lowering the cost of some of the staples in Magic the Gathering. Not these ones,
Yeah, not
but
these
the
ones.
ones that are out before.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Let's talk about cards. We should probably preface these are in no particular order. This
No.
isn't like the first one we talk about is the best, or the last one we talk about is the best. This is just
Cards we like.
we went through. We were like, this makes the cut, this doesn't make the cut, and it was pretty hard to decide what made the cut. So
Like John said at the start, he started with a list of 90% of the cards.
yeah,
So there's a lot of heat.
yeah,
There's a lot of just cool
yeah,
throughout this whole set. So yeah, let's get started. After you, sir.
yeah. So the first card we're gonna go over here is oh man, I have beef with the way this name is actually said, but I'll say it correctly.
Don't do it.
Right.
Oh, he's doing it.
So the way it's properly said is Titus Unis Guardian. I'm one of those people who was playing this game as a kid, and whenever I read it as Titus. So it will always be Titus to me.
From now on, within this podcast, we will refer to it as Titus.
Yes, I acknowledge it's Titus, but I can't. I just can't. It's Titus. Anyway, Titus Unis Guardian, a green, a white, and a blue.
Good color combo right off the top.
Right, for a human warrior, so fits into a whole bunch of tribes. 3/3, so power toughness is on par with mana. Feels pretty good. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, you may move a counter from target creature you control onto a second creature you control. Just that first part is like
You have this deck. You've played it against me
Y-
several times, and you wouldn't think moving one counter would be that big of a deal, but
it's a big deal.
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal,
Yeah.
right? Especially when you're doing things like you've proliferated a whole bunch. You've got stacks of shield counters. You're moving shield counters. You're moving lore counters around on saga creatures.
Yeah.
Like the ability just to shuffle things a little bit and then proliferate and then shuffle and then proliferate is really, really powerful.
Yeah.
And then he's got his cheer ability, which fun fact that I won't be able to give on all these cards because I haven't played all of the games, but cheer is like his starting ability in the game. It's really great.
Cool.
And it fits in really well with this. Whenever one or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and proliferate. Do this only once each turn.
So we've got counter manipulation with saga creatures being a thing. Counter manipulation. We've got card advantage.
Yep.
You've got
And proliferation.
proliferation.
Right. So like
Just three bonkers things.
he's the whole package.
Yeah.
Right.
He does it all.
He moves the counters, right? He spreads them nice and thin, proliferates them to make it so that they're not thin anymore, and then also just gives you card advantage.
Yeah. Fun thing that I hope never happens to me again. John had a enchantment creature out that he was able to bounce between removing a creature off of everyone's board and drawing a card. I think was that one. So either draw a card and then you would bounce, like it would
No,
advance
it's
to remove a creature.
it would the first one is remove highest CMC. The second one is tap a creature and put a stun counter.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he
Yeah.
was stunning our creatures and removing them back and forth.
Yeah, just really, really strong.
It was awful.
Really strong.
It was the worst game of Magic I've
It
ever
just
played.
locks down the board. We'll go over that in detail in the next because that combo did make it into
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
previous.
So next episode, keep your ears out and never play it against me.
yeah.
Moving
Yeah.
on. Lightning, Army of One. So this is another card. 3 CMC, 1 generic, red and white for a human soldier. You'll notice a lot of things are humans. I have a feeling that that's just the Final Fantasy world. A lot of
Yeah,
humans.
there'll be other stuff,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, a lot of things that went into here are
Yeah,
just humans.
Humans.
Yeah.
First strike, trample, lifelink. Just stop. Stop there. 3/2. I should have said power and toughness. It's a 3/2, but we can stop at the first strike, trample, and lifelink. But we can't actually because there's more.
Yeah.
Stagger is the second line of text here. Stagger says whenever lightning deals combat damage to a player, until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player or a permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage. Yeah, so you use this almost as a political piece. You know, you hit someone and then everyone else hits that person, they're gone. Game over. But not only that, it's burn spells, it's your other creatures on that attack phase, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because the first strike deals the damage first.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so dirty.
Yep.
That's dirty.
So this is realistically, this can be a win con within a deck if it's
Yeah,
played at the right time.
absolutely.
Beyond that, though, it's got trample. So even if they put a blocker in front of it, if that blocker is just a chump, you're still dealing
Yeah,
damage. Congratulations, you've got the triggered effect of stagger.
yeah.
Just everything about this card is kind of nutty.
And
I read this card and I'm like,
it,
how is this here?
yeah, again, it's another card where it's the whole
Yeah,
package, right?
yeah,
I like that they call it Army of One, and they give it first strike trample lifelink. That feels like
absolutely is an army of one.
Army of
Yeah,
One, right? You could use a little bit of
and double
equipment. Yeah.
damage.
Well, that's right. She hits for 3, everything else hits for more, or you hit with the burn, or
Oh my godness, godness. Oh my goodness, you build this as a Voltron commander.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you build her as a Voltron commander, you'll never have any more problems. You're welcome. That's your next dex idea. I'm
yeah.
actually going to build that now, so please don't.
You could also actually. I don't think I'd build a Voltron. I think I'd build it as a token strategy,
Also fair.
right? Because
Go wide.
you have her, you hit, and then everything's doubled. So even if you have like 10 2/2s
Do I
and
put
they're
her in my
all
Voja
doubled,
deck?
like it's it's just it's just disgusting. The
I'm
like
probably going to put her in my Voja deck.
yeah.
Moving on
The next
from
one.
insanity
Yeah.
into more insanity.
It's this is just as good in my well, maybe not just, but pretty darn close. Next one is Yuna Hope of Spira. 3 generic, a green and a white for a human cleric.
Hey, clerics are coming out to play.
Yeah. 3/5. During your turn, Yuna and enchantment creatures you control have trample, lifelink, and ward 2. Super fun. Again,
We can
flavor.
stop now.
She's a summoner. Her whole thing is bringing in summons in the game.
Cool.
That's like it's perfect. At the beginning of your end step, return up to 1 target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Here's,
Enchantments are hard to get rid of already.
here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. Okay, if you play this in with Titus, Titus can take those finality counters off. You can just put them on a creature that he's
Oh,
okay with losing and
yeah,
just stack them on that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's
Wild.
it's so. But looking at just her on her own package, right? Trample Lifelink Ward 2.
Hmm.
Uh,
For everything.
for yeah,
Yet another thing I think I should put in Voja. I'm not going to put this one in
like
Voja.
well, you don't have any enchantment creatures in there, right? It's unit and enchantment creatures,
Yes,
but
fair.
it's something that has a lot of the summon cards, the summon saga creatures. She's just
Yeah,
amazing in, right?
yeah. Any enchantment deck that you built up until this point, if it doesn't have this in here, it should.
And also any enchantment deck that you've built up into this point, make sure you fill with a ton of enchantment creatures because it's you're getting 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
like
absolutely.
really Enchantress decks got a massive boost on
Massive
this.
boost on that one
Yeah.
card.
This next one is
Ooh,
crazy.
this is actually probably my favorite
This
card.
next one's crazy. I'm excited for this
Yeah, this
one.
is probably my favorite card that we put in this list. So, and there's a lot of good cards in here.
Yeah.
This is one of those enchantment saga creatures.
Yeah.
So we've got a saga creature coming out here. This is Summon Bahamut. Now I don't know the lore behind Bahamut. I'm sure John does.
It's actually another Final Fantasy X one.
Cool,
He's
fantastic.
fantastic.
He knows all about it. If you want it, you can ask him later. It's a saga creature, so it enters. It's got its saga steps that you can go through. It actually has 4 saga steps. It's a flying creature though, with a 9/9. So it is a 9/9 saga creature. Now it is 9 generic mana to cast, so it is a bit more expensive, but it's generic, so
It's easy enough to get
easy
there.
enough to get there.
Yeah.
Its first step on the saga ability. Now, step 1 and 2 are the same. Destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. So it's just removal built in. You get 2 triggers of that, more if you're flipping around counters.
Yeah.
Okay. Its third step is draw 2 cards. So removal and card draw. Great. Its fourth step, though, now this is a late game play. Hopefully, it's still around to see this play happen. But at the end of the day, it's an enchantment creature. It probably will be. Mega Flare. This creature deals damage equal to the total mana value of other permanents you control to each opponent. We're talking CMC here, people.
It's just crazy.
like put this into any big swinging deck any deck that has big creatures that cost a lot to put out, any deck that has a lot of small creatures that get put out, any deck that has any creatures that get put out, and you're dealing that to each opponent, not one, each.
But by the time that you're hitting 9,
Yeah,
like you should have mana rocks that cost 1 or 2.
exactly.
You should, even if you have like a Soul Ring and an Arcane Signet, and that's it for 3 mana, and you have 6 mana worth of creatures on the board,
Yep.
and then that's 9 damage to each opponent.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Just, and then
Plus it.
for, I think it says other. Yeah, it's
Oh, is
other.
it? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
If it counted it, that'd be bonkers.
Bonkers.
But you do things like, uh, here's something dirty: a lightning army of 1, and then you proliferate your second main,
Mm-hmm.
and it doubles the damage.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
there's just
Yep.
so many ways to abuse it.
So many ways.
Yeah.
So I mean, its ultimate ability is incredible, but without it, you're still removing cards. You're still drawing cards.
Yeah.
You're still got a 9/9 flying dragon.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no downside here.
Well, I know, even if you use Yuna after it does it to pull it back and do it again.
Exactly.
Like, there's
Yeah.
just
lots of
yeah.
synergy, lots of things that I don't like saying to the public because I don't want you to do it against me.
Yeah.
But you know
Yeah.
what? If you do, we
Good.
just won't be friends anymore. No, I'm kidding.
Um,
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Another summon. Actually, I think these are the only 2 that
I think
made
these
it
are the
in
2
here.
that made it. Yeah.
This one is Summon Knights of the Round. Now, this one is from Final Fantasy VII, which I have not had the pleasure of playing, but it is on my list of things to get around to. It is 7 mana for a 3/3 indestructible Saga Knight. It has 5 chapters on
I like
its
an
saga.
indestructible saga.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
The first 4 of its chapters are create 3 2/2 white knight creature tokens.
3.
It does it 4
3?
times. The math on that is 12. Quick maths.
Quick maths. Unless you
His-
have Titus, in which case it's infinite.
like, oh, they could get so big with Titus. You could just start
Yep.
proliferating counters and make them like 12 12s. You
Yep.
just have 12 12 12. Anyway,
Bad news.
the 5th one, Ultimate End. Other creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Put an indestructible counter on each of them.
So this isn't indestructible for the turn. This isn't indestructible until the end of phase. This is indestructible. Just there. It's on them now.
Yeah.
And then if you bring more creatures in after the fact, and you once again you have Titus, you can move those indestructible counters around.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can proliferate those indestructible counters.
Yeah. I would
Yikes.
actually, with this card, I wouldn't be like a lot of the other summons. I'm wanting to remove counters and proliferate and kind of flip between them.
Mhm.
Not on this one. I just want to proliferate and blitz through this as fast as I can.
As fast as you can.
Yeah.
Get those indestructible counters out.
Because even if they're 2/2s after the turn, having 12 indestructible 2/2s is a problem for everyone except for you.
Yeah.
Just flat out.
Accurate.
Right. And then if you can lord them up and get them bigger consistently, like it's just a problem for
Yeah, and I mean they're knights. There's no lords for knights.
Yeah.
None in
Yeah.
any set ever created.
Yeah. Things are crazy. Things are crazy.
Moving on, Tifa, Martial Artist, is our next card on the list. So we've got 4 CMC, 1 generic, 1 red, 1 green, 1 white, for a legendary creature, human monk. Hey, we found another human that we can put in there.
Amazing.
This is a 4/4 with melee is its first line of text. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until the end of turn, and for each opponent you attacked this combat. So if you're playing a 4-man pod and you're attacking all 3 of your people, it gets +3/+3. Easiest way to put it out there. Okay. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control with power 7 or greater, so it doesn't have to be her, deal combat damage to a player, untap all creatures you control. If it's the first combat phase of your turn, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. So first of all, I just want to touch on one thing real quick here. It's all creatures you control. It's not just the creatures that are tapped and attacking this turn that get untapped. So if you have mana dorks, congratulations, they're now untapped. You have more mana.
Yeah.
You get another attack phase. And funnily enough, her 1/1 counters stick around until the end of the next attack phase. So she can actually, if you have 3 opponents, She can get +3 on the first round and then +3 on the second round,
Yep.
making her a 10,
Yeah.
10, 10.
Yeah. I mean, she triggers if you get all three on the first one,
She
because
triggers
she gets it.
herself.
She triggers herself.
Yeah,
She gets up to that
exactly.
7 on her. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really strong. Extra combat has always been a strong thing,
yeah,
and in red, white, green, where it just wants to be aggressive, it wants
yeah,
to be wide,
yeah.
right? Like you want big stompies, you want little dudes kind of scattered in and around. Like it just fits
Oh.
really, really well. And then the lore of the character, it just fits. It
Why
fits.
are there so many good cards for Voja in this set?
Yeah, this would be fantastic in Boja.
Yeah,
This would be really good in Boja.
Nutsy Cuckoo.
Yeah.
Our our off-screen director is giving me the face of please don't.
So pair this with Bloodthirst though. From the Warhammer set, that's 4 extra combat steps.
Yep. There's ways that you can get to like
So it's 12 free counters.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's nuts.
yeah.
Or however it
And
works.
it's just lording until end of turn, but it's 12 free buffs.
Yeah.
It's just buffs. You just
Yeah.
get buffs.
Buffs everywhere.
Yeah.
95 bucks.
For Tifa, yeah.
$95 for Tifa?
The nice art.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. The surge foils are all expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, I should say the full art caricatures are all expensive, and the surge foils are like 5 times the caricatures. Anyhow,
Nice.
moving on to Ishtola Knights Blessed. There was so much hype around this. I've
Mhm.
only played a little bit of 14. I'm not super familiar with her, but I have a buddy who loves 14, and he's like, dude, this card. And I was like, yep, okay, cool.
Fair enough.
4 mana, a generic, a white, blue, and black for a 2/4 cat warlock. I think this is our first.
It's not a human.
Yeah, our first
Whoa.
non-human regular creature.
Now, that
Um,
being said, this cat is definitely a human.
it's
Moving on.
it's a human with cat ears. It's a human with cat ears. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
I'm sure that there's a specific race name for it in Final Fantasy 14.
Probably.
I'm just unfamiliar with it. It's 2/4 with vigilance. At the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card.
Card draw.
It's really easy to have a
Really
player
easy card
lose.
draw.
It doesn't like you don't have to deal the damage. It's just if a player, including yourself, even.
And
Right.
this is at the beginning of each end step, so this isn't specifically on your turn. You could be drawing, again, let's use the 4-man pod. You could be drawing 4 extra cards a turn.
Yeah,
And
you-
it's
you
very
really should.
easy to be drawing 4 extra cards because you don't even have to deal the damage.
Yeah, you should just each end step you should almost automatically be drawing cards. And the second bit, whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Ishtola deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. So it's really easy in this.
Once again, 4-player pod, you're dealing 6 damage right there. You don't even have to go to combat on your turn.
Like
Just saying.
You could realistically actually just ping yourself down. Like you play cards that require life to play,
Hmm.
right? You pay the 4 on there.
Wait, hold on. This is black. You can do that.
Yeah,
Whoa.
right. You pay it in, you get the trigger, you heal back up.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's just value.
Yeah.
It's just value.
All value.
It's a really crazy, crazy, crazy card.
Plus, cool art, once again.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't touched on the art from the other cards. It's all cool.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah. That's one thing that I actually have recommended a couple times now to people, especially people who haven't played Final Fantasy. It's like, don't read the cards. Just go look at the art for a little bit and see what pops out to you, and then read those cards.
Yeah.
Right? Because chances are they're all going to synergize.
Yeah, very likely. Woo, moving on. This one is big. And by
Yeah.
big, I mean incredibly small, but incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
We're talking about Vivi Ornid here. This is a 3 CMC, 1 generic, blue, and red. John's favorite colors. For a 0/3 legendary creature wizard. It has a 0 cost ability to add X mana in any combination of red or blue, where X is Vivi's power. Activate only during your turn and only once each turn. So there's some limitations there, but guess what? It's a free thing that you just get to do. Congratulations. Sounds not great considering that his power is 0 off the hop, but that's where the second part of this card comes in. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on Vivi. It deals 1 damage to each opponent.
So
Soul Ring, Arcane Signet,
Yeah.
any burn
Yeah.
spell,
Like,
any counter spell, any instant sorcery.
yeah.
We'll find a land and put a 1/1 counter on VV.
Yeah.
I
Like,
mean,
there's so many, there's people online who are like, they're trying really hard to break it, and it is breakable, right? Because the text of only once per turn only counts instance of the card.
Hmm.
So if you blink it out, it goes into exile and comes back in, there's a new instance of that card, so you can
Right.
do it again, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have that option, but then you have to have a lord effect that makes it so he always just has
Always has
a
those
+1,
counters.
+2, +3, something like that,
Yeah.
right? So it's possible to break him. I like him more as just building up the power on him and getting him as big as possible and really protecting him,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I think about your Niv Mizzet deck,
Yeah,
and
I want one for him so badly.
I can't imagine a scenario where this does badly in Niv
Yeah.
Mizzet.
Yeah,
Even if it is only once per turn, the number of instants or sorceries or whatever it is that you're casting playing that deck, plus it's free burn, which means 4 free card draw for Niv.
yeah,
Just, I mean, it's just good.
yeah,
If you have a Spell Slinger deck that is in red and blue, put it in there.
yeah. There's a reason that it's such an expensive card
Mhm.
right now, and it's so hard to find, is because it's just so incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you don't need to break it. All the people who are out there trying to break this card, you don't need to. Stop trying. It breaks
yeah,
itself.
yeah. I mean, it's mostly like CEDH people who are trying to do that, which I get it. They're
Yeah.
playing in kind of a different game
Yeah,
almost,
that's
right?
fair.
But I suspect that this is going to get banned soon. It's not going to stay out in free play for very
No,
long.
no. At least from some formats, it might not have
Yeah,
the game wide ban that we've seen with some cards, but
yeah,
some formats
yeah.
are going to
I
say no.
agree.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Celeste Rune Knight. This is one of the ones where I had a buddy who he really likes Final Fantasy 6, and he was a little bit disappointed with Celeste Rune Knight. He's like, it doesn't fit the theme.
Okay.
I don't know much about her. I think the card is great. I don't
It
know if
looks good.
right. And
She
again,
looks like a strong, independent woman who don't need no man.
yeah, the art is fantastic
Yeah.
on this. This is a woman who's just she's gonna mess you up
Yeah.
because she can.
Yeah. It's as if He-Man became a girl, which I know that there is She-Ra,
Yeah,
but that's what this is.
this reminds me a little bit more of like a female Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, okay.
Is
Yep.
what this is. Yeah, yeah. I mean, kind
We
of the
said the
same.
same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Anywho, for CMC, a generic, a red, a white, and a black
My
for a
favorite colors.
4/4 human wizard knight.
Yeah.
A lot of words.
A lot
there.
of words.
When Celeste enters, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards +1. She wheels on ETB.
I kind of love a free wheel.
Right?
Yeah.
For 4 mana, just
Yeah.
an ETB wheel. And if you want to be really dirty and you're playing a wheel strategy, it is in white. There's lots of bouncing that you can do to really abuse that ETB.
Yeah.
And she's in black, which means you can bounce graveyard shenanigans, bounce graveyard, like
Yeah.
you can really abuse it. Whenever one or more other creatures you control enter, if one or more of them entered from a graveyard or was cast from a graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Cool.
That's the white part that's coming in there, where it's like I'm just going to give +1/+1 counters
So
to a wide board.
you've
right?
you've kind of got all 4 or all 3 of her colors within the last bit of that line.
Yeah.
You've got your graveyard returning. You've got putting 1/1 counters out.
Yeah.
And just big creatures.
Ju-
That's really what you've got going on here.
Yeah.
Now, the one downside to this card that I'm seeing at least is it doesn't have a graveyard return piece within it.
Yeah.
So you need something else to go with her to bring things back from the graveyard. It's red, white, and black. There's lots to choose from.
There's lots.
You're not going to struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. But black has the strongest recursion package, and then white actually has a pretty decent recursion package.
Probably the
now as
second
well.
strongest. Yeah.
Easily. Yeah.
I'm thinking an offend to a send from Avernus at late stages of the
Yeah.
game, and you're bringing back let's say 10 creatures, and you're putting 10 1/1 counters on all your creatures, and now you've got a big meaty board.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a white play, but there's tons of black plays. There's a lot more white plays that I can think of too, but
Yeah.
just kind of a fun card.
Yeah. And again, I think almost the entire package right? Like you said, it's missing the recursion, but the rest of it feels very
Yeah.
much so like an entire package.
Yeah. Moving on, Furion Wild Rose Warrior. So this is a 3 CMC, 2 generic, and 1 red. Wow, we found a monocolor card too. I think that
Yeah.
might be our first monocolor.
We haven't had.
I think so.
We had
Oh,
technically
I guess we had
the
the mono
night.
white.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, mono red legendary creature, human rebel warrior. It is a 3/3. Its text: equipped creatures you control have haste. Cool flavor for all of your artifact equipment
Yeah.
decks. Whenever a non-token equipment you control enters, create a token that's a copy of it, except it has this equipment's equipped ability costs 2 less to activate. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next upkeep. I mean, discounting equip cost by itself is good.
Yeah.
It means that you bring out a pair of Swiftfoot boots, you get 1 copy that is two equipped, and it's there permanently, and you get 1 that's free to equip. I mean,
I would use things like
any of the swords.
Vorpal Sword.
Any of the swords.
I mean, yeah, any of the swords
Yeah.
really. Yeah, and again, there's a ton of equipment that came out in this set that's really,
Lots.
really great.
What's the glove? There's a fist. We'll put it up on the screen for you once we figure out what it is.
Is it the mace glove? Is that the
Mace fist or something like that.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
We'll put it up on
Yeah.
the screen.
I've read it several times. I know what you're talking about. I
Yep.
just forget what it's called.
Yeah. That would be a free equip if I'm not mistaken.
A lot of them would be
a
free
lot
equips.
of things
Yeah, yeah.
become free equips
Yeah.
for the token copy.
Yeah, or one equip.
Yeah, sure that token copy sacrifices, but it still gives it to you for that turn.
Colossus Hammer.
Colossus Hammer.
Isn't that like a 9 or a 10 equip cost?
It is, but it's now 2 cheaper, and you have 2 of them.
I mean, yes, but
That's plus 20, plus 20.
Yeah.
yeah, you
And if you have a commander such as Cloud, for example, where he comes onto the battlefield and free equips the
Yeah.
expensive one and then gets the second one, and now you've got a 24 commander
yeah,
with haste right off the bat.
absolutely. Yeah, if
There's things there.
if you can do more than the 2,
Yeah.
right, on high equip costs, then it's worth it. You know, free and all that. The really the token part where you get the extra triggers on stuff is, I think, the more key and important part. The thing that makes him
Yeah.
strong, having duplicates and not being able to abuse it. Right. The thing that comes to my mind is Helm of Hosts.
Okay.
Right. You get a Helm of Hosts on your commander. You get a Helm of Host on something else. You start just duplicating and duplicating and duplicating. Right. You could even, if you manage to get a Helm of Host on Furion, and then you have multiple Furions, you're bringing in 4 or 5 token copy, and
Right.
like there's lots of ways to be.
Lots of things to do
It's
that are
abusable.
shenanigans.
Yeah, it's abusable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very much so.
absolutely.
And for 3 CMC, 3/3 creature as well, I'm not mad about
Yeah,
that
I'm
either.
not mad either.
Yeah.
I'm not mad either. Moving on. Cloud Midgar. Yes.
Hello.
Cloud Midgar Mercenary. It's just 2 CMC, 2 white, which is pretty good. Low to the
Cheap.
ground. For 2/1 human soldier mercenary. When Cloud enters, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle. As long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud or an equipment triggers, or equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers another time. Any of the swords?
Any of the swords.
Any of the swords.
Yeah.
Like,
I think specifically any of the swords. Realistically, I can't think of many other equipment cards that have huge effects on them that aren't just more damage or vigilance or something like that. But
I mean, to kind of go off script just a little bit here, Cloud has his own sword called the Buster Sword, right? It says whenever a equipped creature deals damage to a player, draw a card, then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to that damage without paying its mana cost. Do that twice.
Triggering that twice. Yeah.
Right.
2 free casts.
It's
I'm not mad about it.
It's just 2 free spells.
Yeah, 2 free cards, 2 free casts.
Right.
Yeah. So to be fair, there is equipment that I don't know about.
Yeah.
I'm sure the community can come up with its own ideas, For me, it's any of the sorts.
Yeah, and there's just so much out there for equipment that is good enough to be able to really use this and capitalize.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And for 2 CMC, even if it doesn't have a ton of flair within your deck, you're still hunting for a specific equipment.
Yeah.
If you're playing any deck that is requiring a Whisper Silk Cloak, for example, just go find it.
Yeah. Just
Just
go
go
get
get it.
Yeah.
Right there, and there's lots of equipment where, in decks that I play that have any equipment in them, there's always one specific piece of equipment that I'm like, I need that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually it's a Lightning Greaves or something like that, but I digress. Go find it.
Yeah.
For 2 mana.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just think anything where it's doubling the trigger
Yeah.
is powerful. Just across the board, even if it's a specific trigger, right? There's a whole bunch where it's like if an ETB or a death trigger or anything like that dies, or maybe you have like if a wizard has a triggered ability, like there's so many and they're all so powerful that's kind of why Cloud made the list here is he's doubling triggers and doubling triggers, especially if you've stacked 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 pieces of
Yeah.
equipment on there. You're getting
Absolutely.
yeah,
Lots of value.
Yeah.
Lots of value to be found. Moving onwards. We've talked about this card once already, but we're going to talk about the card itself now. This is Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier. So, Sephiroth is a 3 CMC, 2 generic, and a black for a 3/3 human avatar soldier. Artwork, incredible. Sephiroth is actually the one character that I know
Mhm.
from Final Fantasy just because he's so famous.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed his style, and they've done the artwork justice.
They did really
By a long way.
It's so good.
Now moving into text. Whenever Sephiroth enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature if you do draw a card. Once again, card draw built in. Guess what? It's a black card, so you probably sacking creatures anyway.
Yeah.
You might actually even get more triggers based off of that sack. Congratulations. Whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. Hey, look, there's one of those triggers. If this is the 4th time this ability has resolved this turn, transform Sephiroth. So, kill a bunch of creatures with a sack outlet, deal a bunch of damage, and then he turns into Sephiroth, the one-winged angel. Sephiroth One-Winged Angel is a 5/5 Angel Nightmare avatar with flying. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth One-Winged Angel, you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain a life. Fun fact, you can flip them back and forward a million times. Emblems stay forever. You're just going to start dealing a monkey's load of damage whenever you sacrifice a creature. Whenever Sephiroth attacks, you may sacrifice any number of other creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. So it takes his front side ability, it improves it with an emblem, so a permanent piece of improvement for both the front side and the rear side, and it gives you the ability to sack your entire board rather than 1 creature at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, you can get that flip multiple times. You do have to do some graveyard shenanigans. You have to sack them and then bring them back, then get the triggers. But I mean, once you get the first emblem out there and you're really abusing the aristocrat tactic there, like you can get 4 or 5 emblems in a game and
Yeah, just a good aristocrat piece, honestly.
actually maybe the best aristocrat piece. Like having an aristocrat on an emblem, which is just permanently in the game,
Yeah.
is probably the best aristocrat out there.
Yeah.
Flat out period.
Yeah, you're probably not far from the truth on that one, and this one is a buy.
Yeah, get that one.
Get that one.
Next one up is Terra Magical Adept. It is a 3 mana for 4/2. It's a generic, a red and a green human wizard warrior. When Terra enters, mill 5 cards. Put up to 1 enchantment milled this way into your hand. And then she has an ability called Trance. Pay 4 generic, a red and a green. Tap it, exile Terra, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate only as a sorcery. So just like in the upfront, it's okay.
It's all right. You mill some cards.
Yeah.
You get an enchantment.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's strictly okay. She flips into Esperterra, which is actually a saga creature. It's a saga wizard with 4 chapters. Chapters 1, 2, and 3 are create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary enchantment you control. It gains haste. If it's a saga, put up to 3 lore counters on it. Note, up to 3. You can stop when you want to. Um, Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. Her fourth one is add double Wooburg, so 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green. Exile Esperterra, and then return to the battlefield. So it flips itself back over into Terra Magical Adept. So this one can just flip itself back and forth as it wants.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Wooburg gets added, and then you could use that Wooburg to flip her back into an enchantment creature immediately.
If you have a way to give her haste, yeah, because
Fair
it's a
enough.
tap ability. But yeah, absolutely you
Fair
could,
enough.
and you just keep her on that side if you really wanted.
Moving on, we got Choco, Seeker of Paradise. Now, this is one of Bree's selections. Most of you know Bree. Those of you who don't, she loves her landfall. And she, like John, also enjoys the Chocobo. So, Chocobo, Seeker of Paradise is a 4 CMC. It is a generic, a green, white, and blue for a 3/5 bird. Guess what? Chocobos are birds. Text on this is quite incredible, so bear with me here. Whenever one or more birds you control attack, multiple triggers in a turn, look at that many cards from the top of your library. Cool, deck manipulation. You may put one of them into your hand, then put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest into your graveyard. So, the fun thing with this as well, at the very bottom, there's a sneaky little bit where it says landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, Choco gets +1/+0 until the end of turn.
A key thing to note here as well, just about all of the Chocobos have that landfall trigger.
Yeah.
Like all of them have that landfall trigger.
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, just right off the top, you're getting a free card that you get to pick out of, let's say you have 10 Chocobos, 10 cards.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Even if you only have 3, you look
Yeah.
at 3 cards that,
And you pick one. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're finding cards, you're filtering your deck, good and easy. The worst part with filtering that I find from my side of things is having to put lands that I would normally want back into my deck or onto the bottom. This gets around that. You just put those lands onto the battlefield.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You have a Scoot Swarm out. That Scoot
Yeah.
Swarm's big now. You have an Obnixilus out. Oh, you can't put an Obnixilus. JK, LOL. You have really any other
Just
land ETB does things, any form of landfall, it's going to complement.
even if like at a raw baseline, even if you don't have anything with landfall out,
You just get a bunch
it's
of lands.
it's some of the best ramp that I could possibly imagine in
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
It's just good, right?
Yeah.
And then I think if you have creatures that have landfall out on the battlefield while you do this, it's just gravy.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I mean, I'm tempted to make this a landfall commander for myself, honestly. It's the wrong colors for me. I don't really like white in a landfall deck, but at the end of the day, it's incredible.
It's really great, yeah.
Yeah. Just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving along, staying on the Chocobo train, we have Traveling Chocobo, which we touched on a little bit earlier, but we're going to go over the card
Yeah.
itself, not as a chase card, but as just a card that you can play in a deck. 3 mana, 2 generic, and a green for a 3/2 bird that says you may look at the top card of your library at any time. Peeking at the top is always nice. Knowing
Always
what's coming
nice.
up is good.
Yeah.
You may play lands and cast bird spells from the top of your library.
Great.
I feel like in a Chocobo deck, it's you should only have lands and birds in here. Like that's it.
Yeah.
If a land or a bird you control entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So, 2 important things to note there. One, we talked about earlier, trigger doubling is powerful. It is a strong mechanic in the game. On top of that, again, if you're playing inside the Chocobo thing, or even if you're playing inside the landfall thing, which Chocobos are,
Yeah.
you're doubling those. Landfall is a triggered ability.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so incredibly powerful to be able to because it's a land or bird. So look at the top card. Great, it's a land, in, double trigger. Great, it's a bird, cast, in, double trigger. And you just keep going. You don't have to play from your hand.
So, I mean, not only is this card incredibly collectible, but it's also just a bonkers
It's
card.
just a good card. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of a downside. And I mean, we've got 2 Chocobos back to back. So if we consider the other Chocobo we just talked about, landfall, whenever a land enters, this Choco gets +1/+0. Well, it's now +2/+0. I mean, yeah.
Entire package, once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, we've got Emmett Selch of the third seat. Emmett is 4 CMC, 2 generic, a black, and a blue for a 3/4 Elder Wizard that says spells you cast from your graveyard cost 2 less to cast. Whenever one or more opponents lose life, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Do this only once each turn. So, recursion deck of any kind, great value. It's cheaper recursion.
Cheaper recursion.
The big problem that I have with my recursion decks has always been instants and sorceries. There's not a lot of ways to recur them. There is now. It's just printed on one card.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, this feels like another full package card. Gives you access, makes it easy, right?
Once again, it fits the colors incredibly well. You've got recursion and you've got blue, which is typically instants and sorceries are going to have some form of blue in them.
Yeah,
It fits. It just fits.
yeah, yeah.
And again, I don't know the lore on this guy, but I assume it probably fits there too.
Yeah, he's a 14. I'm not sure, and actually, my buddy who's big into 14 hasn't talked to me much about it, but he has said I think there's another Emmett in there that he did want to build that he really liked, but regardless, it's just a good card. The art is great. Everything about this card is fantastic.
Yeah, really any. I think of Ruben's Will Help deck.
Yeah,
and I mean this card in Ruben's Will Help deck would do work for Ruben's Will Help
give
deck.
him extra access to things that make the deck go burr.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have Kefka Court Mage. This one has a ton of hype. Kefka is similar to Sephiroth, where he's a fan favorite villain.
Okay.
In the entire
He's
series.
got really freaky artwork on his card.
Yeah, he's like an evil clown, basically.
It freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah. I think
good job. If you were going to scare people, you scared me a little bit.
I think that was the goal. This is the Amano art.
Right.
This is that guy. Kefka Court Mage is 2 generic, a blue, black, and red for a total of 5 CMC. You're looking at a 4/5 human wizard. Whenever Kefka enters or attacks, each player discards a card. Not bad.
Cool.
Then you draw a card for each card type among cards discarded this way.
Great. So potentially up to 3.
Yeah, potentially up to 3. If your opponents are coordinated and they all decide, you know what, let's all just throw away this one type. It could be slightly worse, but it is you get a free card. You get a card no matter what. You get at least one, so it's good. Then you can pay 8 generic. Each opponent sacrifices a permanent of their choice. Transform Kefka. Activate only as a sorcery. Now, before I go into Kefka's flipped side, which I'll have to go into here for, I'm not a fan of paying 8 just to get 3 sacks. It doesn't.
It's expensive.
It doesn't feel great, but it is what it is. Kefka transforms into Kefka, Ruler of Ruin. Here we go. It's a 5/7 Avatar Wizard with flying. Whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that many cards. I think some of the shortest text that we've dealt with so far today.
Yeah, simple, but easy. Absolutely broken.
Like, he's in aristocrat colors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's also in burn colors.
Yeah.
It is very, very easy, especially if you've done well with your mana, to make it so that you move into a situation where you're playing a whole bunch of cheap burn spells, you're sacrificing a whole bunch of creatures, and you're drawing your deck and winning the game.
Yeah.
Like, he's just there. He's just that good.
Expensive to get him to that side. I kind of understand why.
I understand. That's why I brought up beforehand. You know,
Yeah.
8 mana sack, 3 creatures, not great.
Yeah.
8 mana sack, 3 creatures,
And get that.
and then just draw as many cards as you want, basically.
Yeah.
A lot different.
Yeah. Wild. Yeah. Very cool art from Amano. Good job. You freaked me out. I know you don't need praise from a lowly podcast host, but you did a good job. Moving on, Buster Sword. We've already talked about this briefly, so we'll just really quickly go over this one.
I forgot that I put this in here, to be honest.
All good. 3 generic artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+2. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the damage without paying its mana cost. This is one of those 2 equipped cards as well, so this is a free equip with that card we were talking about earlier. So I mean, just value there. You're getting a free spell, so you're mana cheating. You're drawing cards, so you're really we talk about kind of the top things that really make a deck hum and purr. Card draw is always one of those. Mana cheating is always one of those.
Yeah,
and this does both.
So
great card.
Which again, like this card is super expensive on the market right now. There's a reason for it. It's strong.
Yeah. Cool. That is actually the final card in our list of just kind of cards we enjoyed. That wraps up our set review, guys and girls. We will be back shortly for a review of the precons.
Yeah.
And then we'll be moving on to the next step. That being said, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us.
Yeah, guys, just remember, make the deck about you and the game all about the gathering. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much, guys.